Arrogance may not be a uniquely American trait, but I must say you do it better than anyone.
I just kind of drove under this tree and it just kind of scraped the roof and scraped the sides of the car. How close can I drop this aspen tree to an outhouse without hitting it? It's going to snap the tree in half. How cool is that? Hello, welcome to Comedy Parenting Radio, the classiest show in Marble, Colorado. My name's Jerry, and I've got Elijah here. What happened to your fingers, Elijah?
I was doing a fist bump with Josh, and I kind of jammed them.
You guys are not supposed to use brass knuckles when you do fist bumps like that, okay?
We're not?
No. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about falling trees. Timber, we'll be right back.
Are you stuck with a bratty little kid for the rest of the day? Maybe it's your grandkid, your neighbor's kid, or your own little brat because your spouse is a lousy parent. In any event, you can save yourself a big headache if you give them a copy of Dad the Tooth Fairy Didn't Come to look at. The funny pictures and big vocabulary will keep them busy for hours and hours while you sit on the couch and check your Facebook account. If you're looking for some peace and quiet, order your copy of Dad the Tooth Fairy Didn't Come from Amazon today.
Comedy Parenting Radio. I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky. I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky.
It's Comedy Parenting Radio. We're talking about falling trees today, guys. Has anybody ever seen a falling tree? Because, listen, I mean, let's face it, we got some city people here listening. We've got people that live in Kansas where there aren't any trees. Have you guys ever seen a tree fall?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Several, actually.
Tell me about it.
Well, one time I was at camp and no cars could get in or out of camp for about, I don't know, maybe an hour, because a tree fell across the road up there, and so no cars could come in and out. And that was the day that they needed cars to come in and out.
What kind of tree was it?
It was an aspen tree.
Oh, aspen trees. You can drive over the top of those.
Not exactly. This one was kind of big.
Oh, okay, yeah. Aspen trees can be up to a foot in diameter or more.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, you ever seen a tree fall across a road?
Yes, I have. Well, I didn't see it happen, but I saw when I was visiting my grandparents over at Goshen, Indiana. We were driving to, I don't remember where because it was super little, but there was this giant tree that had fallen across the road. It was a very big tree.
Were you able to go around it?
No, it was blocking the entire road, and but they had mostly cleaned it up by then, so we only had to wait for about 10 minutes.
Well, that's cool. One time I was coming home from work here, and it was at nighttime. Came around the corner, and there was a giant spruce tree laying all the way across the road. I almost hit it, but I stopped just in time, and I looked at it, and the tip of it was kind of up in the air a little bit, and it looks like people had been driving underneath the tree. So I had a pretty beater car, which describes most of my fleet, and I just kind of drove under this tree, and it just kind of scraped the roof and scraped the sides of the car. And it's kind of like one of those car washes that actually touches the car, except for it was spruce branches. So.
Those giant floppy fuzzy things.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a lot of trees fall across roads. I've even seen trees that fell on tents. When I was a ranger, we had a late season heavy snow at Difficult Campground in Aspen.
Why is it called Difficult Campground?
Because it's at the bottom of Difficult Creek.
Why is it called Difficult Creek?
I don't know. Anyway, there was big storm, and there were these two girls that had bailed out. They had been camping there, and they said it snowed so heavy that their tent collapsed, so they went into Aspen and got a hotel in the middle of the night. And no kidding, that night, an aspen tree came down, and it fell right on the tent where they would have been sleeping. It would have killed them.
Oh.
So timing is everything. But I've seen a lot of trees fall down on a lot of things. Comedy Parenting Radio, trees falling down. We'll be right back.
You gotta take care of Texas, it's the only one we got. If you're way up and lumber down and looking back, you gotta conserve water, keep the air clean. Take care of Texas, don't you know what I mean, y'all? Kevin Fowler here. Texas has clean air, rivers, and lakes, so let's get outdoors and enjoy them. Visit TakeCareOfTexas.org, pledge to help keep it that way, and we'll mail you a free Texas State Park guide. Take care of Texas, it's the only one we got.
Sponsored by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality in Texas Parks and Wildlife.
Norm Balone is a retailer. He doesn't use radio because...
Can't see things in radio.
So to show him that hearing is seeing, we blindfolded Norm and tied him to a chair in his living room.
What are you doing?
We're sawing a hole in your floor, Norm.
Listen, I know radio works. It's okay, really.
Now we're filling the hole with water.
I like radio, I do.
Now we're throwing alligators and sharks in the hole.
No, please, take off the blindfold.
So, Norm, still think you can't see things on radio?
Well, not like TV. All right, I can see.
A message from this station and the Radio Advertising Bureau.
That's when the red alert came on the radio, and I put my earpiece on. Got my dark sunglasses on, and I had my weapon drawn. So I get my handcuffs, my cyanide pills, my classified dossier. Cutting the phones like yeah, shredding the files like yeah, and then my rhymes all the enemy's spies. I got a neutralize.
We're talking about falling trees here at Comedy Parenting Radio. Elijah, you were recounting something that happened up here in Marble at our house.
Yeah. One time it was so windy up here that it blew about a 6-foot-tall spruce tree right out of its roots. And since we needed firewood at the time, I ran down there and drug it back up the hill.
That might explain why we find our laundry blown all over the mountainside, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also on that time, there was actually a time before that, that it was even more windy, and it knocked over several 30-foot-tall spruce trees or pine trees.
You know,
they were lying every which way.
I've caused falling trees many times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
How's that, Dad?
Well, when I used to work for the Forest Service, I would go up to Maroon Campground outside of Aspen by the Maroon Bells, and we would cut down hazardous trees. Remember how I told you about the aspen tree that fell on the tent?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, we would try to predict trees that were hazardous. For example, they're dying or whatever. And we would cut them down. And up at that campground at that time, there were hundreds of aspen trees that were dying. So we would go up there with chainsaws and literally just drop trees as fast as we could drop trees, just so they were laying on the ground. And we didn't even cut them up unless maybe they were in the way of something. And so we would have these 80-foot-tall aspen trees that were very mature, cut them down with chainsaws in the campground when it was closed in the fall after everybody left. And my friend Brad and I started having a contest.
What did the contest entail?
How close you could get to infrastructure without hitting it. For example, outhouses were one. It's like, how close can I drop this aspen tree to an outhouse without hitting it?
I was kind of hoping that you're going to have a race like in Paul Bunyan where he goes up against the newfangled machine and they...
No, because they both had chainsaws.
Yeah,
No,
we both had chainsaws. And so one time I remember cutting a tree, and I thought I could drop this... tree about maybe 3 feet from the outhouse. And I cut it. You make the notch a certain way. The tree started to go, and a little piece of wood held on, and the tree twisted, and it's starting to go right for the outhouse. I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm dead meat. And this tree fell, and at the last second, it twisted a little bit. It rolled and twisted. It missed the outhouse by, I'm not kidding, about 6 inches from the edge of the outhouse.
Did you win?
I won hands down. Another time, I said, let me drop this aspen tree on the post. We have like gates. They're like big metal gates.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop this tree right on the post, and it's going to snap the tree in half. How cool is that?
This sounds like a bad idea.
It hit the gate.
Let me guess, flattened it?
Well, no, I made a V in the top of the gate, so I had to say to the boss, yeah, one of those trees hit a gate up there, and it's got a V in the top of it. You're listening to Comedy Parenting Radio. Falling Trees.
Hold on to me as we go, as we roll down this unfamiliar road.
To you, these are sounds of annoying mosquitoes.
This should be played at high volume.
Dengue, so far, these are reminders of pain and suffering. And when pain involves high fevers and even risk of death, it is hardly music to their ears. Don't let this happen to you. Stop the Aedes mosquitoes from breeding. Change water in vases on alternate days. Remove water from flower pot plates every other day. Turn over all water storage containers. Cover bamboo pole holders when not in use. Clear blockages and put BTI insecticide in roof gutters monthly. Stop dengue. Keep your family safe.
Probably the worst one that ever happened when I was cutting hazardous trees.
Which was?
In Difficult Campground. Where the tree fell in the tent. And I cut this tree, and it was a very windy day, and the trees blow back, forth. And I was cutting away, and what you do is when the tree opens up the notch, you cut like a mad person, and then the wind would blow the tree back, and it would pinch the saw, and you had to stop cutting. Then it would blow, and you could cut, and then you blow, and then it comes back, and you have to stop because it pinches. Well, what I was trying to do was to time it so that I made that final cut, and the tree would drop the way I wanted it to. Yeah. Well, when I got close to the final cut, the wind blew back the other way, and it snapped the tree, and I wasn't ready for it to snap that way. And it blew, and the tree fell 180 degrees opposite the way I wanted it to.
And landed on something bad?
Electric lines. And it leaned on the electric lines, and we kind of stood back and watched the sparks flying. It's alive. And after about, maybe 10 seconds of that, the lines broke. I went to the ground. So I had to call on the radio, talk to my boss, and say, hi, this is Jerry out at Difficult Campground. Yeah, what's up? Well, a beaver chewed on one of the aspen trees out here by the beaver pond and dropped a tree right on the electric line. You might want to call Holy Cross Electric.
Dispose of the tree.
Anyway,
yeah, dispose of the body.
Dispose of the body. That's kind of the way some of that stuff happens sometimes.
What'd you do with the stump?
That stump?
Yeah.
Did you chew on it so it looked like a beaver?
No, when the electric people came out, they said, that was no beaver. I said, leave it to beaver. One time we were driving to church from Marble to Glenwood Springs, Colorado, and I had just glanced over to the side there where the river is. It was rushing, and my daughter Christina was sitting in the front seat of the Suburban with me, and she yelled, Dad, watch out. And I looked, and there was a landslide in front of me. It was dirt, rocks, and trees coming down, and they went out onto the road right in front of us, and I swerved and just barely went around that little landslide. So sometimes those trees will just jump out right in front of you, literally.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like it's about time to wrap this one up and throw it in the diaper pail. We've been talking about falling trees, and there's a whole lot more we can say about that. Thanks for coming out, guys. And when you go, would you mind picking up all those twigs on your way out?
Hey, you want some good parental advice? Don't listen to me.